nearly 15 years now. Okay, so the idea is that through the years of experience that I have acquired during the life as a consultant, and also the experiences of projects that I have been through, I hope that I could share with you something maybe not new to you, but at least give you some ideas on the challenges that we have, and also the solution that I am about to propose today. Okay, so if you have any questions, which I do hope you guys would have today, I'm pleased to receive your questions later on the session. And if you are a student, or if you have any questions whatsoever, please do record your questions, just in case that you might forget later on the session. Okay, so before that, I just want to mention and wish all of you guys out there happy World Environment Day, as we celebrate on the 5th of June last few days ago. We do want to promote environment awareness, not just on the 5th of June itself. It's just a matter of speaking to just promote it in a way, just like Mother's Day, just like Father's Day, but every day is Mother's Day, every day is Father's Day, similarly as that. But we just want to have one day to appreciate environment, and to make sure that we can remember that that is our duty. And as a Muslim, I could say that it is our duty as a Muslim to be a good Khalifa, in a way that this is basically our duty, to protect the environment and also the species, the ecosystem, and restore the ecosystem at the same time. Okay, so Doctor, can I share the screen?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, so could you see my screen right now?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Okay, so I will be talking to you guys today about the environmental issues. How do you close it? Okay, sorry. Okay. Okay, I would talk to you guys today about the environmental issues. How to close this, or do you know?
Which one, the slide or
This bar here? You can see my bar at the same time?
Yes, doctor.
the one by the side? Quick access desktop.
Maybe you need to click the PowerPoint.
It's in here.
Okay. Is it here? Sorry, I mean, I'm not too familiar with this. Hi there. All right. Okay, great. Okay, sorry for that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So today I'll be talking to you guys about the environmental issues and challenges in Malaysia in my own version. Okay, so I do hope that this thing would be an eye-opener to you guys out there, and so that we could all discuss and see what are the best methodology and so forth, and the solutions that we can put in order for us to protect our dear environment together. Okay, so if you have any good recommendation as well, I do hope to listen to that as we share this thing along today. Okay, so again, thank you so much for UTHM to invite me here today with all of you today, so that we can share this matters together. Okay, so first of all, I would like to highlight the outline of my talk today, which is who are we, in terms of who is AMR, and the second one is the environmental issues that I'm about to share with you, and the last one is the conclusion from all the things that I am about to share. Okay, so with that having said, I would like to show our corporate video. So please relax and enjoy.
It doesn't come out, yeah. We didn't see the video, Amma.
It's not showing. It's not showing the video.
We didn't see the video.
The video is not showing. We can't see the video, sir. The video is not showing.
Maybe he doesn't notice.
Yeah, I know. He's not hearing us. He's not hearing us. Maybe he muted his own mic.
Maybe you can check through chat.
I chat with him. I just chat, but still he didn't read the message, I think. The message.
Okay, so you guys did see that, right? Did you guys hear the sound?
No, we can't see the
No, you
video.
can't see the video.
We can't see anything.
It didn't show it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
Try
yeah,
to
yeah.
Oh, is
communicate.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry because of that.
Yeah. We can't
Okay,
see.
okay, sorry. Okay, never mind. Okay, and never mind. I just go through a little bit of brief. Okay, I'm not sure why it's not showing. I'm so sorry because of wasting your time just now. All right. Okay, so okay, just to show you a little bit of brief about who we are. Okay, we are an environmental consultant dealing with the services as you see right now, which is an environmental in industrial hygiene. We have also a laboratory for chemical analysis and testing. We conduct engineering works associated with many air pollution control systems. Also remediation, which we concentrate mostly on bioremediation, and not to forget the training. Okay, so we have been incorporated in 2001, and this year, alhamdulillah, we are celebrating our 20 years anniversary or establishment as a consultant in the country. And also we are accredited ISO 9001 for quality management system. Besides that, we have also, like I mentioned just now, an ISO IC 17025 as an accredited laboratory under SMM accreditation, and also as a training provider under HRDF. Okay, so okay, let's jump to the environmental issues that what I'm about to share with you today.
Sorry,
So I'm
AMMAR.
sorry.
We still can't see your slide.
Oh my God. Okay, seriously.
Yeah.
AMMAR, probably you should stop sharing and then share the entire screen. Share again, but click on entire
Okay.
screen.
Let me just. Okay, could you share? Could you
Yeah.
see now?
Now,
Yes, yes, now we can see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry.
yeah.
All right. Okay. So please do help me along the way if you cannot hear or see.
Right.
To put a full screen.
Yeah. Make it full screen.
Now,
Okay, wait. I cannot find my cursor right now.
now, okay.
Okay, right.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see. Just now you cannot see as well, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Good now.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So again, we are an environmental consultant, laboratory, industrial hygiene, engineering, remediation, also training, incorporated in 2001, ISO accreditation for 2, which is for lab and also for quality management system. And we are also an HRDF training provider or a registered training provider, okay? So now we jump into the main topic of today, guys, which is the environmental issues, okay? Which I want to segregate the topic today into 3 main things, okay? Or the pollution that would cause the environmental issues that we are going to talk about today. Okay, so number one is all about waste pollution. Secondly is about air, and thirdly is about water. Okay, so these are the main criteria of pollution or environmental issues that we see. I mean, typically it's not just in Malaysia, but I would just like to pinpoint and highlight these issues in Malaysia specifically, because at least everybody would know on the fact that, okay, how to mitigate the matter in the rightful manner. Okay. So first of all, I would like to highlight to all of you guys out there that there is actually two types of waste in Malaysia in this case, okay? So one is solid waste, or our household waste in this case, and the second one is a scheduled waste, okay? So you would have these two. I mean, if I understand it, I mean, a lot of these students out there are studying this course in a manner that you need to really understand the segregation of these two items, okay? All right, so first of all, I would like to highlight on the solid waste issue that we have right now in Malaysia. And basically, if you would not know, there is about 33,000 tons that we produce each day. And this is statistics that I took from JPSPN's website back in 2012. And just recently, I took from 2018 a remark from the minister saying that they have about 38,000 now in terms of the numbers. Okay, so maybe these numbers have already increased, but just to show you all of you guys today that, you know, actually this is a very big number, in a way that if we divide this number into you know, the population of Malaysia per se, we would get about 1.17 kilogram per capita per day, which means that each and every one of us would actually produce this much of a waste on a daily basis, which is a lot. Okay, which is a lot, which means that as we grew in population, all right, so just logically enough to say that, you know, the numbers would exponentially grew as well. Okay, so you would expect this to happen in any you know, country whatsoever, but especially in Malaysia, I think we are dealing with this kind of situation right now that, you know, we have to really measure up our waste management facility and so forth. Okay, so with that having said, if I would take the data from JPSPN, which is at 33,000 back in 2012, and this is the data that they produced during that time. Okay, so let's just see the statistics of what they have, okay, before we go on further. So basically, the total of the 33,000 contributes from 65% from household, 7% from industry, and also 28% from commercial and also institutional. Okay, so let's see right now the household waste composition in a way. Okay, so as you can see here, food waste, okay, or food and organic waste contributes to nearly about 50% from the total. Okay, so this is a lot for everyone to understand. Okay, so yeah, we are actually dealing not just with, you know, recyclable items here. Okay, so I want everyone to open up their eyes and mind right now that food waste are one of the biggest, as you can see here, and I don't think the statistics would, you know, far off much further from these statistics that we see, where, you know, it clearly shows that, you know, our waste coming in from the food that we eat, or the waste food that we consume each day, or we throw out each day, would, you know, be about to this big number or chunk number to produce this much of a waste. Okay, so besides that, we have plastics 13%, we have about paper 9%, diapers, you know, no wonder these diaper companies are very you know, profit in making, because they produce about 12%, and you know, garden materials and others like glass, textile, and e-waste and so forth. Okay, 16%. So as you can see, the accumulation from the recyclable items here, which is 9 plus 13, which is nearly, you know, 22%, which makes up the recyclable items, as you can see here. That's why, in a sense that, you know, we would plan, okay, I would say that, you know, we should all start recycling, you know, as soon as we can. And then the reason why, because, you know, if we can reduce this much of a 22% that we are seeing here, you know, this is a lot. This is a lot that we can save from the waste that's been thrown inside the landfill. Okay, because everybody knows that, you know, when you throw the waste inside the landfill, it's going to stay there forever. It's like, you know, the graveyard for you know, waste in itself. So we have to make sure that we try to reduce so that we can expand the lifespan of the landfill, as well as the usage of the land, because once the landfill is full, you know, it's very unlikely that we can use it for anything else. Okay, at this moment, at this juncture, although there are some things that we can do about it, but typically the land would be just leave there as a matter of landfill closure and so forth. Okay, so as you can see back again, let me just rephrase back. Organic or food waste would be one of the biggest issues to tackle. Okay, again, this is not just my effort, this is not just something that I want to promote to myself, but also for everyone out there, especially for you youngsters out there, that especially for the seasonal period where we celebrate Ramadan, for example. So we create a lot of food waste during that time because we buy or we consume a lot more than we normally could, because we fast during the day, right? So this just a temptation that we have, of course. Okay, all right, so moving on. All right, so okay, where does all this solid waste go? Okay, if you would know that nearly 80 to 90% of all these waste are gonna land up in landfills. Okay, so this is quite sudden. Okay, quite sudden, because like I mentioned to you, if let's say for example we can take the chunk of recyclables in this case, it would be making that much of a space, and also the pollution would not cost as that much. Okay, so that's why I think in terms of recoverable materials or recycled materials, I think we should opt to do that in that case. Okay, so one of the best solution that I could promote to all of you guys out there, no wonder whether you have family or not, this thing needs to start from us, guys. Okay, it needs to start from our house, it needs to start from our families, our loved ones. So what you can do is that this is a sample of I mean the picture that I took from the internet. I have this similar thing, at home. Okay, although it's not neat and nice like this, but I could say to you guys that I promote this in my home as well. Okay, the reason why, because I could say to you, if you guys are not married yet, okay, this is a tip from a brother to brother or brother to sister out there. I just want to mention to you that your kids would learn from you based on the things that they see. Okay, most probably the things that you say, they will not take it 100%. Okay, but whatever that you do that really intrigue them, that really give them this kind of surprise element in a way, they would really do it in terms of what you do or your action in itself. Okay, so what I could say is that once you have this, your children would already be automatically to follow your footsteps into learning or into promoting the recycle, or even so to recycle the things at home themselves. Okay, so one thing that you need to know, let's say for example like myself and also my lovely wife, what we did was we have this station at the corner of our house, and every single time when we buy something, of course they comes in packaging, they comes in all the containers that we have, like mineral waters and so forth, right? So our kids automatically knows there are things to throw inside the trash bin, there are things to put inside the recycle corner, we call it. Okay, so these things are very, very what call it, useful in a way for you to promote them right at the early stage. Because honestly guys, I do believe that we cannot start recycling for older generations, because by the time the habit is not developed as yet. Okay, so if you develop your kids or your young ones, especially your siblings for example in this case, then you can really start from there, because habits carry on throughout years, and once they have that habit, for sure they would just carry it on and spread the word very, very effectively. Okay, so do that, and start recycling from home. That's my solution for that. Okay, so the other issue with our landfill, as we call it just now, 80 to 90% goes to landfill in terms of the waste that we produce each day. So it goes to where basically a non-sanitary landfill. Okay, so I want you guys to understand this. Okay, so non-sanitary, okay, what does it mean by sanitary? Okay, sanitary means clean or hygienic. Okay, in a way, okay, this is taken from the the word in itself. I just want to make sure that you guys know the exact meaning of that word, so that you could relate to what we are going to talk about today. Okay, so what does it mean? Okay, let's compare the types of landfill, okay, that we can have. Okay, so which means that I call it as an open landfill, because it's just an open land per se that you open up within a certain maybe depth and so forth, and you just dump your waste over there. Okay, so this is what we call to my expression is an open type of landfill. Okay, so typically people just call it landfill, but for me I would like to call it as an open landfill. Okay, so the second one is a sanitary landfill. Okay, the difference between this, which is the ones that you see on your right, is that because it has a different kind of construction. Okay, I would always like to call sanitary landfill as engineered landfills. Okay, because why? They have a compact clay liner installed so that the water doesn't penetrate through to the groundwater. And also, what do they have is that they have the plastic. I mean, in layman terms, they have a plastic liner or HDPE liners or membrane liners that they want to make sure that no water can seep through as the trash or the waste is being put on top of it on a day-to-day basis. Okay. So this is something that's the most common difference of that. Okay, if you can see my cursor here, you can see that there are two additional element compared to the thing that I talked to you just now. One is a gas recovery system where all the gases will be collected, through this ventilation. The second one is a collection of leachate from the collection pipes. Okay, so they have pipes at the bottom here so that any leachate, okay, leachate means that any water that's been in contact with the waste that produces leach. Okay, they leach out. That's why they call it leachate. Okay, so they leach out from the waste to create this what we call it as wastewater. Okay, so this wastewater, which is going to be contaminated with all the waste in itself, is going to be pumped out, okay, from the landfill and collected in the specific tank before it's been treated to the leachate treatment plant. Again, you produce leachate, okay, because of the leaching process, and you collect it and then you treat it at the leachate treatment plant. Okay, very simple concept, but as you engineers out there, this is something that you guys need to know and need to know by heart, for sure. Okay, so the effects on open landfill, I just want to mention to you that there are many effects, okay, basically hazardous effect in that manner of if we were to operate this kind of landfills. Okay, so number one, we have groundwater contamination. Like I mentioned, if let's say, for example, you just have a clay liner, or basically you just have a liner per se. But what if, due to time and there's a suppression and also the compression of the waste in itself, there are some leakages that would occur that would make all the leach that I mentioned to you just now, the leachate would penetrate through and going through the aquifer, or basically the groundwater in our subterranean section of the land. Okay, so that's why it's very important for us to have that liner that I mentioned, and also the groundwater collection, the collection pipes, so that we can remove all the leachate and send it to the appropriate facility, which is the leachate treatment plant. Okay, so the second thing that we would have as an issue is because of the facilities being dumped every single day without a proper cover of soil or whatsoever, it would create a lot of odor issues. Okay, so this odor issue would be a nuisance, especially if it if it's near. Okay, I'm not saying near because you cannot quantify near if, let's say, for example the wind is blowing towards that residential area, right? So what I'm saying to you is that because of the meteorological condition that the wind is pushing this odorous material from the landfill to the nearby residents or sensitive receptors, you would have a lot of nuisance. Okay, so with that having said, odor would be a lot or basically a big issue when it comes to having this type of landfill. Okay, so the third thing that I want to share with you is that because of they can create unexpected fires and explosion. Okay, why is that? Because they contain methane gas. Like I mentioned to you guys, 45 to 50% of all these waste are is basically food or organic, which decomposes or biodegrades, right? So when they biodegrade, what happens is that they release all these gases, okay, which one of them is methane. And because methane is highly flammable, what you will get is that because if you just have a spark or any material that could spark up to start or ignite the gas, it would create explosion and also fire at the same time. That's why in Malaysia you would see, or some cases you would have, or you would find that you would have just an sudden fire that will be involved, and that's why the operator needs to take action as soon as possible, so that again it would create odor because of the fire. It would create also nuisance because of the particles that they emit based on the fire incident. Okay. And not to forget, guys, the one that I mentioned to you just now, methane gas, if you don't really control it, you would produce greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, so this is something that everybody will know. Okay, everybody knows that methane is one of those contributors of the greenhouse gases besides CO2, and this is something that we need to really look closely, because climate change is real. Okay, climate change is real. The temperature is rising, as you can feel it. I don't know you youngsters out there, but I've lived a little bit long enough, maybe from you guys out there. there that I have I have felt the sudden temperature rise and also the difference into the climate that we have right now. Okay, so again, I think we can curb this by having the intention to make sure that we build a very good landfill in terms of controlling this greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, so the final one, guys, is all about surface water pollution. Okay, so what happened if, let's say, for example, it becomes a stockpile? Basically, although you have dig up a hole in that case to stockpile the waste, what if at one particular point the stockpile becomes high, and you would have rain event and so forth, and it would spill out, okay, from your particular site, and it would affect the surface water pollution, basically from lakes, or basically from the pond that it would create, or basically worst case scenario, it would just channel out to the nearby rivers, okay, which you would basically pollute, not by intentionally, but because of the condition or the rainfall. You cannot control that, right? So this is where it gets a little bit complicated when it comes to this type of landfills. Okay, could you excuse me? Okay. Love, sorry, I'm not upstairs. Sorry, my baby is awake. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I just want to share with you just now that I deal with you just now regarding about the odor. Okay, the reason why I highlight this odor in red is because that I want to share with you. Okay, because if, let's say, you guys were asking me, okay, how do you measure odor? Okay, so truly interesting enough, guys, there is a meter for us to measure odor, and it's called a field olfactometer, we call it. But this model is a nasal ranger model, and we use it quite often in order for us to assess, especially from facilities like this, from landfills or any kind of what we call this nuisance facilities that they want to test out and see what is the kind of reading or the kind of impact that it would give to the nearby sensitive receptors. Okay, so what we do normally is that we take the wind direction, we take the wind speed, temperature, humidity, and then we read, okay, based on the type of reading, which is, we call it as a dilution to threshold value, and it comes in from 60, 30, 15, 7, 4, and 2. Okay, the reading. Okay, again, this is the typical range of reading, because as you get higher the reading, then it means to say that the odor becomes very, very significant. Let's say, for example, you get the reading of 2, it means to say that you can just trace the smell, but if it gets to 60, it becomes more nuisance. Okay, what happened is that this is a very clever invention, I would say. I mean, this thing basically is called nasal ranger that I mentioned. It has a filter at the side. Okay, so they have 2 openings. Okay, if I want to share with you, they have 2 openings. One is at the front. Okay, there's a dial over there. It's like a your dial meter from to differentiate the threshold value number, which is 60, 30, 15, and so forth. And then you have also a filter over here to make sure that whatever air that you breathe in, then it would be filtered out. Okay, so it has a carbon filter over here to make sure that whatever air that's been diluted together with the odorous substance or odorous air here, you would collect it in a very calm manner so that you can read the values over there. Okay, so the cool thing about this is that, because how can I tell that the value would be the same as the others? Okay, practically, I would say that, because we are using human sense here. Okay, let's say, for example, my staff here, let's say Akmal is using this machine. Typically, he would have his own range of nose. Okay, what happened is that we have to do nose calibration. So how cool is that, right? So, maybe you guys are new to this, but I'm going to share with you that everybody who wants to conduct this type of testing or odor monitoring needs to undergo what we call as a nose calibration system or procedure, so that they could work within, or they could see themselves whether they are within the range of the acceptable range, in a way to say that they can do the monitoring. Okay, so not everyone can do this. If you fit within the bell curve, I would say, we know within the range of the odor assessor, then only then you can conduct this monitoring. Okay, so typically, if you have any residue whatsoever, then this is something that you cannot do. Okay, so again, you will not know until you do the nose calibration. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to share with you later on. Okay, so again, the next item is at number 6 there. If you can see that, the odor description. So one thing good about this is that once you suck in the air at that acceptable speed. Okay, sorry, I forgot to mention to you, this odor monitoring, okay, or odor equipment here, when you basically inhale the air, they would have a meter reading to, I mean, it would turn from red to green. Once you have the green, then only then you take the results. Okay, so meaning to say that you will take at the very common, or basically the range, they have a range of inhalation per se, within that range of the speed or the velocity, then only then you can have the reading. So to make sure that whoever operates that machine would inhale the same range of volume of air as well. Okay, so this is cool. Okay, number 6 I want to mention to you just now, the odor description means that whatever odor that you can describe, you just record it. Let's say, for example, you smell like a grassy smell, you smell like a gas smell, so you just record whatever that you record, and then you try to see the whole area that you monitor, and this is going to give you a good mapping of the area, whether you can smell the same smell or not. Okay, so again, this is very cool indeed, or a cool invention per se, and this is coming in from the USA. Okay, so again, when it comes to the issue with our landfill, guys, we would see that methane, okay, would cause 47% from landfill because of the decaying of organic waste. Like I mentioned to you, 45% until nearly 50%, maybe right now, that cause from food waste, okay, that we produce, or basically organic waste. Okay, so besides that, we have carbon dioxide, and these two gases are basically very harmful to our environment because it creates the greenhouse effect. Okay, so we don't want that, and to make sure that we contain that, that's why we need to do something about that. Okay, so one thing that we can do, guys, besides sending out, I mean, rather than just to send out our waste to the landfill, this is something that I want to promote as well. Besides the recycling that I showed you just now, something that you can do, something that I'm doing currently right now, okay, which is to do a compost yourself. Okay, you want to make a fertilizer of your own. Okay, so not everything can be turned into fertilizer, guys. Just want to share with you. So this is something that I want to share in terms of you knowing what to have and what not to have. Okay, what to compose and what not to compose. All right, so basically you would have vegetables, okay, and fruits and coffee and tea, and you do not want to have any oil products inside your compost because that would destroy it. Okay, so any eggs, meat, or fish bones and scraps and so forth, please do not use it for your compost because that will not help at all. So please make sure that you just use whatever that's been proposed here inside this slide today. So again, if you have your own compost, you do not need to buy your own fertilizer outside. You just need to use it, and you can just plug it in, at your plants or your trees and so forth, and this would help the environment per se as you use and you utilize the waste that you produce. Okay, so in a matter of way, you are actually trying to control your food waste as well. Okay, so this is a sort of control that I would say, because you would know that you would take the trouble to produce this compost later on, okay, if you produce more food waste at home. Okay, all right, so another solution that I want to share with you guys is very cool and very important for you guys to know is that the methane gas. Okay, let's like I mentioned to you guys, once you build up an engineering landfill, which means that it is a sanitary landfill, you would have a capping layer for you to contain all the gases. Okay, so what it means is that once the gas is contained, okay, what do you do with it? Again, you don't want the gas to be released in full 100% to the environment because it would create the greenhouse gas effect that we discussed, right? So what we do is that normally we would extract, okay, these gases through these gas collection wells. Okay, they have the piping system in place that can collect all these gases, and they send it out to what we call as a landfill gas to energy plant. Okay, so this is something cool that you guys need to know because they extract all the gas through the extraction, okay, through the ventilation system. Means they pull the gases out. Okay, it cannot be run by itself, of course. Okay, so it would clean the basically it has a gas extraction and also cleaning equipment. Okay, it will remove part of the moisture, and then only then it goes to the gas engine and electric generator. So what happens is that it burns out the gas. Okay, because again, methane is flammable, so it uses methane as a fuel source to make sure that it is being combust, and from that combustion, it's like a car, guys. Okay, it's like a car. It has many pistons, and it moves the pistons, and the piston moves the the pulley, and the pulley removes the alternator, and just like any dynamo kind of concept, it generates electricity from that movement, and then you produce electricity. So okay, so rather than you waste the methane gas like conventional landfill per se, again 45% of food waste would create a lot of gas, right, in this case. So that's why you want to contain it, you want to extract it, you want to control the combustion, and you want to make sure that it turns out to a renewable energy. So this is a green concept that I want to share with you guys. And one of the successful stories that I know that I've seen with my own eyes is the one that is happening in Bukit Taga, Selangor. Okay, so under the Berjaya Corporation, they are doing such a good and wonderful work over there, and they are converting all this landfill gas into electricity. Okay, they are generating many watts and megawatts at the moment, and it's very clean energy per se. Okay, so I love the idea, and I see there's a lot of effort into pulling all the gases, using all the pipes and whatsoever. Okay, the effort is big, but also the concern is that you would protect the environment rather than to let the greenhouse gas, which is the methane and also CO2, release to the air. Okay, so this is one of the things that is currently being applied, and the challenges that we face here is to make sure, if possible, to apply this to every landfill that we have in Malaysia. Okay, so again, a lot of maybe a lot of you guys were asking, of course, cost is one thing that's for sure, but again, the cost of cleaning up the environment is, to me, a lot more or further, is a lot more higher to me, as compared to the investment that we can do in order for us to contain all of this. Okay, so again, one of these key issues, guys, when it comes to these landfills are the leachate. Okay, like I mentioned to you just now, it's being collected. And just to show with you, this is a good diagram that I always like to share with everyone, that you would have a different kind of layers, and these are the perforated pipes, you call it, or basically pipes that have holes in it, that would collect all the leachate water, or basically the wastewater from the landfill. Okay, why they would have a leachate? Okay, again, one of the key things that you guys need to understand is that because landfill is an open type of source, meaning say that you have an open land that you want to put your waste, and then you compact your waste, right? So one of the things that we cannot control is the fact of rain. Okay, rainwater actually is the main contributor of the leachate. Although some of the waste have water, but they are not in big quantities. But through rainfall event, or basically precipitation event, it would create more, this major leachate that we produce each day. Okay, because again, it's an open type of compaction, also segregation, and also putting the waste there. So what happens is that because of the rainfall, it would create a lot of leach, and this leachate is being collected through the series of pipes in the landfill, and then it's being pumped into a tank before it's being sent to the leachate treatment plant. So this is where it will be treated, through biological or maybe chemical and physical treatment before it's been released to the river. Okay, that's why it's very important for you guys to understand DOE has a very clear, a limit for leachate discharges from landfill in itself. So they or basically the landfill operators must know the limit and must comply to the limit at all times. Okay, so as you know, landfill works on a day-to-day basis, 24 hours 7, they never sleep. So that's why all this leachate needs to be treated on a day-to-day basis as well. Okay, so this is an important thing for us to know. Okay, the second thing is that because of the methane gas, as you can see here, is being collected, is being sent to the to the generator building in order for them to produce electricity. Okay, so at the end of the day, guys, what happens to the landfill when it comes to a full? Okay, what happened is that they would cap it with the HDPE liners, or basically the sand, clay, and topsoil, and so forth. What happens is that they're going to cap it until you can see green. Okay, this is where aesthetic value plays a part, because I think DOE and also JPSPN would promote this as well, that at the end of the day, the landfill must look neat. Okay, so you cannot see a lot of trash going out still, right? Because you want to contain any rainfall to be having create another leachate after it's been closed. Okay, so that's why you need to cap it in full, as if you have a Tupperware, you want to cover that Tupperware until no water can come in or whatever, so that it becomes like that until the end. Okay, so this is the most important thing. Okay, so landfill groundwater monitoring. So this is something important for you guys to understand as well, because as an issue, okay, one of the biggest issue when it comes to landfill is that because of the seepage. Like I mentioned, if the landfill does not have any liners whatsoever, this would be a major catastrophe issue. Okay? So what, as a groundwater was nice. Okay, one thing that you as an engineer should always think about is that you should have a control well and also a detection well. So then comes a question: how do you do this of the we call as a groundwater assessment, where we find out the groundwater of the groundwater. Okay, very neat, right? Very cool. So what you do is that you have to use a series of data of the soil type and condition, and then you have to have also the see the groundwater flow, and typically the groundwater will flow to the nearby river. So typically,
Sorry, Amma.
sorry.
Please, anyone, unmute your mic. There's one participant who have not unmute the mic, so it's disturbing the session.
Oh yeah, okay, sorry. Okay, we can hear a voice over here. All right, okay, thank you so much. Okay, so moving on. All right, so Doctor can see my slides still?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay. So moving on. Okay, so this is something that we do as an environmental engineer or environmental consultant. We have to monitor, okay, as you operate the landfill, which is going to take time about 20 to 30 years, for example, then we have to monitor in those period of time. Okay, so we have been monitoring a specific client for many years, and this is what we do to make sure that we can see the control. Okay, why we call it as a control here, everyone, is because that this groundwater well would give you a controlled concentration, because you would not expect any pollutant to flow this way. Okay, you would expect the pollution or basically the leachate to flow within the direction of the groundwater flow until it reaches the detection well. Okay, so this is where the simplified or basically the engineering comes into play, whereby you have a control to see the exact natural condition, and then you see the detection if there is any changes into the concentration of the groundwater properties or characteristics. Okay, so this is what we normally do. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so landfill groundwater monitoring, this is what we normally do as well. We have a pump over there, and we basically have a flow being introduced, and it sucks in all the groundwater there, and then we collect it in the appropriate containers. Okay, so this is a sample of the sampling that we normally conduct at the site. Okay. All right, so now is a topic of scheduled waste, everyone. Okay, scheduled waste. Why we call it scheduled waste? Because in a different term, we call it as a hazardous waste. Okay, so scheduled waste is being called in Malaysia as part of the regulation of scheduled waste regulation 2005 in the EQA, of course, Environmental Quality Act. So please do look up on that, and you have a 5 category of scheduled waste altogether. All right, so right now I want to share with you something that's very important for everyone to understand, that we have a scheduled waste at home, okay, which is computer, mobile phone, television, air conditioner, washing machine, and refrigerator. This is the category of household e-waste that's categorized under the scheduled waste code of 110. Okay, so for you guys out there, I've been preaching this quite often, and previously back in my kids' school, we did a charity event for collecting all those e-waste and selling it for the purpose of the school. So you can do that as well, and promote yourself and make sure that you tell this to everyone, that all these items are basically scheduled waste in that manner. Okay, so why e-waste, guys? In this case, is the total amount is tremendous. Okay, is a lot. It contains hazardous substances. It releases greenhouse gases and ozone depletion substances, especially the old refrigerators, because they have refrigerants, right? They have CFCs and so forth. So we want to dispose that properly. Okay, so it's risky to the health and also to environment. And why e-waste again? Because as you can see, okay, this is a PCB board taken from, you know, maybe many appliances. And as you can see, there are many coppers or metals, heavy metals in a way, and some are gold. Okay, so that's why the e-waste business right now is booming, because a lot of people want to recover all these precious metals. Okay, but again, these precious metals, like what we saw or what we discussed just now at the landfill, when it goes directly to landfill, what happens is that because of the rain, okay, the water, H2O, come into contact with all these heavy metals, it leaches out heavy metals. And if these heavy metals are, percolate or basically, find its way into our aquifers or groundwater, we go to the river and also to our main water line, for example, from the wastewater treatment. So what happens that we shall be contaminated, or it will create health effect if we consume it. Okay, so these are the type of effects of e-waste if we consume it. Let's say, for example, we have lead, again mainly metals, so it causes verbal impairment, especially in children. We have copper that affects our lungs and kidneys. We have cadmium, weaken the bones by interfering with the body's ability to metabolize calcium. So again, it reacts with a chemical reaction in our body. And mercury, I think everybody knows this. Mercury poisons the eye, skin, lungs, kidneys, and nervous, digestive, and immune system. Mercury is bad for the skin as well. I mean, it can enter through our skin. And arsenic contributes to cancer, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. And not to forget dioxins, okay, damage the immune, nervous, and reproductive system. So we don't want to have all kind of these things, because of why? Because we produce a lot of it. 53 million pieces of e-waste in 2020, guys. This is, a lot. Okay, in terms of numbers, it's more than our population in numbers. So it is 3.5 times higher than 1995 statistics. So if this were to be 1995 to 2020, 3.5 times, you would expect, the elevation to happen in a much more higher rate. Okay, so this is very, very critical for us. And this is the main challenges, guys, because, we think that all this while, everything is in our house is safe, but please make sure that, once you dispose it in a safe and appropriate manner. Okay, so mostly generated by mobile phones and personal computer. I think everybody knows this, because from the statistic of the smartphone ownership back in 2017 and 2018, and these statistics, I took it from the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, or MCMC, it shows that there is a rise of 2%. And imagine right now the 76.4 back in 2018. Imagine if, let's say, it rises, in linear form, 2% each year. You would get 90% easily within a couple of years of smartphone ownership, and this would be a trouble. Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but my smartphone normally lasts within 5 years. So you can imagine, if we change that within that period, we have a lot of e-waste to be collected. Okay, so this is something that we need to do. And how do we do that, or how do we dispose it, guys? One thing for sure, that you please check this website. DOE have made a very tremendous effort into this. They have tied in with the company from Japan in order for them to do this assessment and so forth. And one of the things that you can do by visiting this website, you can see in actual fact that these are the licensed contractors by the Department of Environment that would be able to collect your e-waste. Okay, how cool is that? You can check based on their locality, based on your locality. For example, this one I take from Johor, because you guys are in Johor, so you can see all the Johor contractors, and you could call them because they have the contact number over there. Call them and get them to pick up your e-waste, and if they are good enough, they could even pay you in that sense. Or of course you have to pay, you have to prepare it in big numbers, of course, because they have mobilization costs, right? So please do think about that. And this is a major issue that I would say, not just now, but in the coming future, especially for the youngs out there. Okay, so the next one that we want to look at, okay, very quickly, because I don't have enough time here. So did you know that there are about 15% increment due to the COVID-19 waste? Okay, so you could imagine, guys, all these infectious waste, okay, right now that we see. I mean, just recently we have a spiking case, okay, 10,000 cases per day, for example. That's so alarming. So what happened is that because of the increase in the number of patients, they would be exposed, or they would produce many scheduled waste, or we call it as clinical waste in the code of SW 404. Okay, so again, clinical waste is a pathogenic waste, or something that could spread in terms of disease. This is not good, and we categorize this as a scheduled waste in Malaysia, which is very good as per DOE's advice. And it is categorized as SW, or the code itself is categorized as SW404. Okay. So this is the packaging that we normally see. Okay, so in terms of the COVID waste, specifically in Malaysia, we can see it, you know, they store it inside the bins. If you guys don't know, okay, what type of things that's been sent for treatment and disposal in Malaysia, actually the government under the Ministry of Health have already concessionaire, or basically they have already tendered out the contract for main contractors in Malaysia. I think there's 5 contractors in Malaysia, and alhamdulillah, we managed to serve all of them currently. What happens is that these concessionaires are basically responsible to collect and also to dispose these type of waste, especially COVID waste nowadays. Okay, so if you can see the yellow bins here, try to stay away, because inside there probably there will be COVID waste as well. Okay, not to forget, these are the typical type of you know, the bins on your right there, the sharp bins. Okay, they put it inside a plastic container so that the sharp doesn't affect the ones that are managing or handling the waste later. Okay, so this is very critical, guys, because it's an emerging issue that we face right now, and the question is how to effectively treat clinical waste, which is SW404. And to me personally, everyone, I think incineration would be the best technological method in order for us to dispose this type of waste. And the reason why, because it has a volume and mass reduction, a very highly effective in doing that, because it reduces the volume and mass reduction until 90%. It can reach until that, and then it destroys pathogens. Okay, the main important thing is that we want to destroy the pathogens, because we do not want that, you know, the waste is being sent to normal landfill, and what happens is that it can, you know, contaminate, or basically it can infect maybe the birds over there, or you know, whatever, because people say from the start of the COVID-19 it was affected by the bats, right, by the bats that people eat in China, and that's why, you know, it spread quite rigorously, right? So in this case, you know, we do not want that to happen. We want to destroy the material or the whatever clinical waste that we produce, especially from COVID patients, to make sure that we can contain or curb the spread of the disease. Okay, so one of the things that you guys need to learn, okay, this is something that I always teach in a manner to, especially to students out there. The incineration process, as negatively as it might be perceived, it is a controlled combustion process with an air pollution equipment system. Okay, so one thing that I will need you to understand and make very clear is that it is a controlled combustion. That's number one. And number two, they have an air pollution control system that controls the pollution or anything that emits or releases to the atmosphere. Okay, so that's very clear for you guys to understand. Okay, so how the system works, very clearly, that I want to show here. First of all, the clinical waste is fed into the system. It goes into the primary combustion chamber within a temperature below the 900 degrees C. And the function of this primary combustion chamber is to make sure that they can reduce the volume and also the mass. Okay, let's say from physical state, they want to combust it to ashes and also to gas. Okay, so secondly, you have the secondary combustion chamber where it, you know, disintegrate, or basically it burns out the gases and also the fine particles that's been produced by this primary combustion chamber at a temperature of about 1100 degrees C. So secondary combustion chamber would have a much more higher temperature in order for it to combust a lot more gases, a lot more you know, pollutants, in a way to make sure that it's going to be safe for the later stage. Okay, so normally, typically, as a good incinerator, it will be designed to fit in for 3 T's. Okay, 3 T's, guys. Okay, 3 T's means that retention time is good, means that it has a good retention time of 2 seconds or more inside the combustion, because as you combust in a much more, you know, higher time, you would combust it in a much more effective way, right? So secondly, you would create a turbulence. You want it to have it in turbulence mode, because you want to basically, you know, like how you you know, cook nasi goreng, for example, or fried rice. You want to make sure that you stir everything so that everything becomes homogeneous, right? So you want to have that as well. It's because you want the fire to be in contact with all the pollutants in that manner. Okay, as a layman terms, right? So number 3, the 3 T's is that we have turbulence, retention time, and we have the temperature, which is about 1100. As you get the temperature higher, you would have a better combustion in that case. Okay, so later on, what happens is that it's being cooled down by the waste heat boiler. Okay, waste heat boiler cools down the gas because of why? Because it needs a good temperature for it to react, or basically to have to, in order for the air pollution control system to work efficiently. So it injects lime and activated carbon. Why we inject lime and activated carbon inside the system is because we want to get rid of acid mist or any acid materials inside there, or any acid gases, we want to remove it. Activated carbon acts as to remove the dioxins and also the heavy metals, and not to forget the TOC, or total organic carbon, or compound. Yeah. So next we have the fabric filters, like our vacuum cleaners, guys. Simple enough. Simple analogy that I want to give you is like our vacuum cleaner. Okay, at home we have a filter, HEPA filter and so forth. So we have a filter to make sure that we can retard or we can retain the particles before it emits to the stack. And one thing good about what DOE has been doing right now is that all the stacks for incinerators is being installed with a CMS system. CMS, we call it as a continuous emission monitoring system that we monitor every single time. Okay, meaning to say that the reading will be channeled out like a, it has an internet connection, of course. It will be sent out to DOE as a real time. So whatever the operator sees at the site, the DOE would see the results as well at the site on a 24-hour basis, because incinerator works at a 24-hour basis, guys. Okay, so it doesn't stop, it doesn't sleep, it works like a 7-Eleven. Okay, so just want to share with you a typical filter. So we install this type of thing. So this is what we call as a hot gas filter. So we install inside the filter chamber so that every dirty gas will go in. This is from the dirty chamber, guys. So it extracts outside as a clean gas once it penetrates through the filter there. Okay, so this is what we normally do. We do a leak check for back filter system. So this is me there. I mean, you cannot see my face, but the ones that are pouring, that's my staff over there that's pouring the leak powder. So what we do is that we pour in the leak powder, we extract the leak powder to the filter system to make sure that we can see whether it is having a leak or not. Okay, so this is a checking that we normally do for our clients. Okay. So again, this is an emission testing that we did in Petronas for their incinerators, and this is me. Okay, this is where you can see my face there. Okay, so not every boss works in office. I would like to work at site because practicality is all the game there. So if you know what you say, then that's the best experience that you would have, right? So I would say that this is a good experience for you guys to have. Again, we do testing for a lot of incinerators in Malaysia, and they're really in compliance towards the regulations per se. Okay, so moving on very quickly, we have listened to the river pollution many times in Sungai Kim Kim, and this is me taking part in Sungai Kim Kim incident last time with the minister and also the DOE. They were working very hard on this, and alhamdulillah we managed to settle that issue during that time. And the recent one that we heard in Sungai Selangor, all the waste illegal chemical dumping inside Sungai Selangor. This is something that's saddened ourselves for that matter. And one thing for sure, guys, because of the news that we hear, somebody else is doing that, but we are actually doing it at home. So something that I want you guys to make sure that you tell your friends, your family, your loved ones, do not throw your used cooking oil in the drain. Okay, this is not the right way. Okay, honestly speaking, frankly, I used to do that. Okay, a long time ago, but after that I became I repent. Okay, so I became sane, and I know exactly where to do it. I mean, how to do it now. Okay, so basically you have contractors to pick it up and sell it. You can sell them for money. Okay, so I would say one of those recyclable materials that you can sell that you can get more profit is basically cooking oil. Okay, so they sell it at they buy it at 1 ringgit 10 cents per kilogram, depending on locality, of course. But you can again try to call in. One of those good companies buying this is Alam Flora. So if you are within their region, so you please call them to make sure that you can sell your cooking oil to them. Okay, so what they do is that they convert all this used cooking oil into biodiesel. Okay, so how cool is that? Rather than just to waste it inside the drains. And not to forget, sorry, all this cooking oil, if you leave it inside your drain, it will clog up your drain, your fat or whatever is clog up your drains. And secondly, it would affect the downstream line, because the sewer line are not meant to treat oil per se, or emulsified oil in this case, right? So please make sure that you send your cooking oil at the right place, in this case where you can make money. Okay, so the one thing that I want to discuss with you today about groundwater pollution. Okay, you heard a lot of river pollution, but very quickly, what happened if there were to be groundwater pollution? Let's say, for example, for landfill that we talked about just now, or even so factories or manufacturing site or oil spill. Okay, so what can we do in order for us to protect our groundwater, which we cannot see? Okay, one of the things that I want to share with you as a case study that we have conducted successfully in this Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, that we are using our own trademark product, which is AMMAR Easy Enzyme Technology. Okay, we use this product because it has a high acceleration rate for microbes, highly effective, 100% safe and stable. Okay, this is not a microbe, guys. This is a food for the microbes. Okay, so what we do is that we use enzyme as a mean to give a source of food to the microbes. So this is a basic concept of what we do, a bioremediation strategy. Okay, we don't extract the chemical from the groundwater, because sometimes what we are doing now, the chemical is so carcinogenic that we cannot extract it. So that's why we need to treat it in situ. Okay, so what we want to do is to promote the growth of the existing microbes, not introduce new ones, because it depends on each of the locality of the contamination, right? So we want to just make sure that the local bacteria or microbes can work its best to make sure that it can decompose or biodegrade the contaminants that we want. Okay, so what happens is that this is a simple concept of what we do. If there is any contamination in groundwater, we just inject our enzyme within the injection system inside the well, and through that process we shall make sure that we clean it up through the, let's say for example, this is the old without the enzyme treatment. So we shall produce a lot more. So this is a case study, a real case study, as you can see at the petri dish over there on the right hand side behind our logo, I mean underneath our logo there. That is the actual bacteria that's been grown in an aquifer, or basically in a system that has no bacteria before. Okay, so as you can see, it's very highly effective into making sure that you use the existing bacteria or microbes into helping you to decompose or biodegrade the existing groundwater to treat it to the perfection. So our methodology has been proven to have 80 to 90% of efficiency in terms of this treatment in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia at the moment. Okay, so lastly, guys, okay, as I'm taking your 5 minutes time here, environmental protection begins with you and your loved ones. And always remember, guys, that with the small effort that you are doing today, it will be contributing to a much more bigger cause towards our environment in a way. Okay, for our, not just for us right now, but for our children and for the generations that we want to preserve. Okay, so with that having said, thank you so much, UTHM, for the kind invitation. And I do hope that you have questions for me shortly. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. And thank you so much for your presentation. We really appreciate. And I hope all the participants have learned a lot from this wonderful presentation. This you have done well, and thanks for sharing your knowledge with us. Now the floor is for question and answers. If anyone has a question, you can go ahead and ask your question. And we still have some questions at the chat box. So I will wait for those that may have a question directly. They can go ahead and ask their question. If not, then we can go to the chat box and ask the questions that were asked there. Thank you.
So do I need to read it, Dr. Kabir?
I'm waiting for the participants. If there is anyone that has a question, can ask directly. If not, then I can read the questions from the comments to you.
I see. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just waiting.
So let's have the live questions first. Eh?
Yeah. If there is anyone, you can go ahead.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Okay, it's like we don't have question. So I think I can go ahead and ask. I think that.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Nama saya Siti Noraini daripada pelajar FKAP.
Okay.
Okey, saya nak bertanya sebab untuk kilang-kilang dia ada ikut penjadualan bila kita nak buang solid waste ataupun ke dalam sungai. So untuk denda dia yang dikenakan dekat dalam ikut akta alam, akta apa ya? Ada akta tu 19 something, tapi dia punya kadar denda tu macam mana? Tak maksudnya kilang tu boleh bayar dan dia boleh buat benda tu lagi. Macam nak cakap, apa kaedah yang lebih bagus untuk kilang-kilang ni tak buat benda yang sama?
Okay, very good question, Ain. Okay, one thing that Aini tadi ya, betul? Okay, one thing that Aini was asking just now is that, I mean, because that the fees or the denda penalty is being enforced too low, these factories that makes a lot of profit, I mean, can just easily pay. Okay, So one thing, based on my experience, I need, okay, very good question. To answer you, yes, you are very correct that the current government is looking at the ways into changing the EQA, okay, which I hope very, very soon, that they want to increase the penalty that will be involved, okay? So, which means that maybe currently 500,000, they want to increase it to maybe 1 million and maybe more, okay? So what happened is that because of the factories that they can pay, of course they can pay, but you know, if you talk about 1 million, it should be, you know, big enough for them to think twice about repeating the same mistake. That's one. Number two, every single time anyone conducts any misconduct, the DOE would have an eye on them. Okay, this is based on my experience, okay, which DOE is really, really effective into doing this. Let's say, for example, within a certain region, okay, because let's say DOE have a certain, branch within a region, let's say they have in Pasir Gudang, for example. So Pasir Gudang, they know, let's say, for example, inside Pasir Gudang, there is about 20 trouble plants, for example. So they would put in more effort or more inspection towards those plants, much more periodic as compared to normal, licensed plants. Okay, so this is something that I normally see, and this has been effective enough to show. And sometimes they take samples without, you know, the factory knowing it. I mean, just to make sure that they can, double check on a day-to-day basis whether the plant is running, at its best or not. Okay, because they have already a case before. So just to answer you, Aini, I think the DOE or the Department of Environment is doing their best into doing that, and I've seen that with my own eyes, with my own, because I have a lot of circle of friends working there. What happens is that they would try to regulate or try to visit them more. And again, don't worry, I understand you, I feel you. This penalty will be increased in a much more near future. So which I hope very, very soon, okay, because it has to go through the parliament, it has to go through all the decision makers before it can be enacted into the new act later on, okay. So again, not just the penalty, it would also be many things, okay. Let's say, for example, because we are part of the we are called in by the Department of Environment last time because they want to change this act. They have some, they want to have some feedbacks from industries, and we were one of those industries that were called to give our feedback. And we have seen a good structure of things that they want to change. And besides e-waste, we could see that even so our vehicles, the long serving vehicles, which is causing a lot of pollution, of course. This is something that we have to look as well. Okay, so yeah, I do hope that the new act will come in very, very soon so that we can have a much more peaceful thought on the environment for Malaysia, inshallah. Good question, Annie. Thank you.
So, is there any question? Direct.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, please, you can go ahead.
All right. Hi. So I've been doing my part as someone who is very concerned about the environment. I've been separating my waste at home, like recycling things and separating items that cannot be recycled, like paper plates and coffee cups. But how do I know that the items that I've separated doesn't end up in the landfill and being mixed up all together? Especially, I'm worried about the garbage trucks that come to pick the items that I've discarded.
Okay, very good. Sabrina, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, very good English, by the way. Okay, okay, Sabrina, to answer your question, I think, okay, this is what I did, okay? For example, if you want to give out charity, okay, I mean, again, just to answer your question with my own version, if you want to give out charity, okay, you give out money to a third party for them to distribute, to give out to the needy, right? So you will not know whether you give that to that third party. Let's say, for example, if Dr. Kabe is making a charity event, and then he's calling everyone, please donate for let's say, for example, for somebody who's in need. So I do not know whether if I give Dr. Kabe, then Dr. Kabe would give that person, right? So I think in this case, you have a very good sense in a way to say that, to make sure, okay. But for me personally, as long as I have done my part into giving out to the right place, okay, where I need to sell it, or basically I need to dispose of it, then I think our job there should be good enough. Okay. But again, if you have that consensus, Sabrina, I would say that if you sell it, would be if you basically go to any recycling facility that sells your material, you would be able to, I mean, make sure that that would be not ending up at the landfill, because as they pay you, they must make sure that they don't send it to landfill, because what's the use of that, right? So unless you just leave it in front of your house. So, but then again, there would be some contradicting there, pros and cons, because it depends on your location. Let's say, for example, you need some fees, or basically as you travel, let's say for example a few hundred meters to that destination, how much cost does it take you? You are going to consume fossil fuel, for example, right? So that would not be good for the environment as well. So you have to think about that. But at the end of the day, Sabrina, I think as a good conscious citizen as you are, I think you just have to have a peace of mind, and as a positive peace of mind, to say that as you put your waste in front of the house in a in a designated plastic bags, you have done your good part already. Okay, so I think this is something that I would always think about. And for sure, I always with you. I am always like that, as Sabrina, just like you. But at the end of the day, I got to think positive that that would end up to where it is, because as precious as it is, those people must, I mean, even so the garbage collectors, I presume that they would make money from that as well. Okay, so I think that would be the case. Okay, so have a peace of mind in that. But congrats to you as well. Congrats to you.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thank you for your answer. And do we have another question? Or
Saya ada.
hello?
Hello, saya ada nak
Hello?
tanya.
Okay, Fitri, go ahead.
Yes, Fitri, go ahead.
Saya nak tanya berkenaan dengan pandangan berkenaan dengan negara luar yang menghantar sampah ke negara kita. Apa pandangan Doktor?
Okay, kalau saya nak tanya Fitri, if let's say for example, if I send my trash to you, do you like it?
No, obviously.
Okay, so okay, again, simple analogy. If let's say for example, we don't like that, you don't like that, I don't like that, so I think this is something that's wrong. Okay, so one of the things that I think you guys need to understand is that this thing are basically a black market, meaning to say that all this waste coming in from, I mean, through containers, for example, comes in, big containers coming into our country, is going through the illegal market, or basically a black road or black network and so forth, so that it just ends up here as a dump site. Okay, so that's why we did a very good job last time with our ministers in pushing back all the plastic waste, especially, right, to back to their countries. And this is where I think Malaysia is very firm on this. I think, based on what I see and what I've heard and what is being preached right now, this is something that actually is not allowed or is illegal. Okay, even so, for example, you want to take e-waste from outside, this one is cannot. Okay, this one is basically illegal activities. So that's why I think Malaysia is very strict on this. But if you are caught, then for sure you go to jail, or at least you will send to the court in that manner. Okay, so very good question, Fitri. Malaysia is very firm on that. There should not be any importation of waste in that manner. Okay, but just to make clear, plastic, okay, plastic, not waste, but used plastic that's been cleaned, that one we can import. Okay, because we got companies, eligible companies that has APs to import that in order for them to create products here in Malaysia. That one's okay. But then when we talk about plastic waste, where you open the container, there's many type of things inside there without segregation and so forth, that one cannot. Okay, so that one is something that's been controlled by the DOE. And one thing that I think, Fitri, just to add into your point, one thing good about what DOE is doing, again, I'm always like to promote DOE because this is what they are. I mean, I've seen what they have done, and I've seen that they are the frontliners of our environment, and I'm very happy that they are doing that. Okay, so what happened is that because of the plastic importation, they have already made a mandatory for every plastic recycling companies in Malaysia, for new ones especially, that is going to wash, that's going to extrude the plastic and to make pallets and so forth, to have an EIA assessment. Although it's not, previously required, because of the critical issue that we have, that's why they have enforced it, and I think they did a good job into enforcing that. Okay, so thank you, Fitri, for that question.
Okay, thank you so much for the answering that question. I think because we don't have much time, I will just go through the questions in the chat box. I think this question is from the same person that asked you. I think it's Sabrina. She asked about this dumping. I think it's the same person. Let me see the question. Then I think there is no need to ask the question. Let me see what is the question. Let me see. How do I ensure the waste that I throw out won't contribute to more pollution, especially in the landfill? I think it's the same person that asked directly to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the same question. Yeah. So then we go to one question. I think the same Nur Sarvina. There's a chemical that solidifies used cooking oil. Is solidifying the oil recommended, or should we avoid it instead of dumping oil in the sink?
Okay, again, I think, like I mentioned, do not ever dump your waste cooking, you use waste oil, cooking oil inside your sink, because it would create a mess in your, pipeline. It would clog your pipeline, so you don't want to have that. Okay, so you want your pipes to be clean at all times to make sure that you have a good flow. Additionally, you can make money from that. Again, like I mentioned to you, out of all the recyclable materials that I know that I have been doing so far, I think cooking oil is one of those best, materials that you can sell. And one thing good about it is that, as we sell, like me and my children, we have a dedicated, piggy bank. Okay, just to put all our recyclable, selling items that we have sold, and then we put it inside that piggy bank, and it becomes again, like I mentioned to you, the kids would not be appreciating from what they hear you say. The kids will be appreciating by the things that you do with them. Okay, so that's why your action speaks louder than words. I could always tell you that, guys, that. And one funny story that I want to mention to you: one fine day as I was driving, okay, if you guys could see my face right now, one fine day as I was driving, what happened is that when I asked my first elder son, Adam, to say his prayer every single time we go inside the car, he would always go and do like this. Okay, when we pray as a Muslim, we pray with both hands. But on many occasions, he would always do his hands like this, one hand only. So I was wondering, and I always teach him at home two hands. But funny story, to cut it short, what happens that one fine day, I asked, okay, Adam, let's say our prayer. As I was holding my steering wheel, I was holding up my hand like this, okay? Meaning to say that my son, Adam, was actually copying my action of praying inside the car because I was holding one hand with the steering wheel, okay? So that's why, that becomes something as a lesson for me. If you want to teach your kids, you got to teach them by action, not by words, okay? So again, coming back to your question, you sell your cooking oil, make money from it, teach your children how to do it, and from that cooking oil episode, they would also recycle other things as well. Okay.
Okay, I think thank you so much for the answer, and I think we have another question. Or let me just ask the question, then we call it a day, because there's no time, and we have a lot of things to do as well. So there's one question here. What about the pharmaceutically active compounds, hormones, and personal care or household cleaning products as contaminants of emerging concern in Malaysia? So this is
okay. I think that's a very technical and very good question, because this is something that is an emerging thing. I was planning to talk about this actually, but then because it's a very technical thing, I'm afraid to bore you in a sense. Okay, what I can share with you guys is that this thing is a new thing. As a technological advance, we human becomes more concerned and more looked at things that could harm us, right? So in this case, let's say pharmaceutical products that could mutate our fishes on basically aquatic life, for example, and even ourselves in that manner, right? So what we have seen right now, because I'm doing one EIA at the moment in Johor, and one of those agencies or the local agencies over there by the government officers are asking us to do this thing, which is to assess something that's far more than the law states. Okay, which means that unfortunately these things are not yet regulated. Okay, regulated in a way that we know what's good and what's bad in terms of its threshold. Okay, but it is something that we need to be concerned with. Okay, so in that manner, for me personally, I think it's time that we try to make that as a study. Again, normally, typically, we would adopt that from many advanced countries, in a way, from Japan or maybe from the US and Europe, in a way like how we do it for incineration plants. Let's say, for example, the incineration plants limits, we try to copy as best as we can from a stringent limit as compared to our limit, for example, or we want to develop our own, right? So in that manner, it takes a lot of research, it takes a lot of effort, it takes also a lot of money spent towards that thing. Okay, so coming back to that question, I would say that within this few years' time, they would come out with the regulation towards that. And I do hope that it would be enforced very, very soon, because this thing is somewhat new to everyone right now. And I do hope that it would have a guidance, value, so that we can compare whether it's okay or not. Okay, but at this point of time, we can just monitor it. We can just, let's say, for example, for any pharmaceutical company, I would always agree that they need to conduct what we call as a performance monitoring, where they monitor their concentration of their particular interest chemicals, so that they can see whether they emit those chemicals in abundance or not. Okay, maybe they don't have a limit for that, or it's not stated inside the law, but they need to know their threshold value that they can provide by themselves, in order for them to cater that at the point source, rather than to have it treated at the river later on. Okay, so I think it's a very good question there, but for now, there's no specific what do you call it, guidelines, or even so the law to say that you have made a violation based on the discharges of all these components. Okay, so I hope that would answer that question there.
Yeah. Thank you so much, AMMAR, for the answer. And this is where we come to the end of today's program. And now is the time for the photo session. So after the photo session, then I think we can. So now is the time for the photo session.
You please open your camera.
Yeah, so you can open your camera for the photo session.
Okay. So we count 1, 2, 3. Is it ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, doctor. Done.
All right, so I just like to take this opportunity to wish everyone again happy World Environment Day. As we live our life, please make sure that you guys have a purpose of your life as well, to make sure that we can preserve our environment. This is not a cause for you and me, of course. This is a cause for everyone, and please spread the word, and let's make this work together. And not to forget, as we, like I mentioned, I always preach everyone, whatever you do, your children and everyone around you would follow. So try to give them a good, a good action to be taken in order for us to preserve our environment. So again, thank you so much, Dr. Maya, for your invitation, and also Dr. Kabe for being a moderator today. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful day ahead. Okay, so thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much once again, and we hope you will answer our invitation next time, because actually the presentation was very wonderful and we have learned a lot. So I hope to meet you in the near future, and thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Inshallah, inshallah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. So
who joined us today.
And I also want to thank all the participants for joining us today, and you have done well. Thank you so much, and hope to see you in the near future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Don't forget to fill up the attendance, yeah?
Yeah, the attendance form is at the chat box, so you can go ahead and fill it for the e-certificate.
Yes.
It's okay. Assalamu alaikum and bye-bye. Thank you.
So again, thank you so much, Dr. Maya. Thank you so much, Dr. Kabir.
Yeah,
And
thank
hope
you
to
so
see
much.
you guys soon.
Hope to
Okay,
see you.
Assalamualaikum.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum. Bye.